So, Liverpool beaten 4-1 by Manchester City. Damien Delaney was on co-commentary. Is that the title race done, Damien?
Yeah, it feels like a seismic day, to be honest with you. It feels like there has been that shift. They put themselves in the position, and the others fell away the last week. The week with Manchester United had with the loss of Sheffield United, the draw against Arsenal, the draw last night, their challenges just fallen away now. I think it was always going to be a big ask for Liverpool. I mean, even if they won today and they got themselves within 4 points, when you look at the cut of their squad, it would have been very, very difficult for them even then to maintain pace with Manchester City, because Manchester City have kind of off the bridle now and they're going, so it would have been difficult for them. But Manchester United were the one where they were on a similar run to City, you know, real good run at the minute. But when rubber met the road, Manchester United just fell away, and I think that today was a dagger in the rest of the Premier League.
What is going on with Liverpool? They have injuries, but is it too easy to put the blame at those absences of Van Dijk and Gomez and Matip? It feels as though there's something greater going on with the lack of energy, the lack of goals.
Yeah, look, there's two main problems that I see with Liverpool, and the obvious one is centre back, and you can't get away from that. And it's not an excuse, and it's not people saying that, you know, you're excusing Liverpool. They've got two central midfield players playing there. They've had kids untried, untested, with Phillips and Williams coming in there. Fabinho's done a great job, but he's not going to last the season there. Henderson now is back, and you've the double whammy of losing them out of the middle of the park as well. Manchester City had the exact same problem last year with Fernandinho. Rodri wasn't quite up to speed, and Fernandinho was kind of playing centre-back. He'd done great at the start of the season, but when push came to shove, he ran out of steam as well, and they got found out. They've remedied that with Diaz, and I think Liverpool need to, I suppose, get lucky with one of these two centre-back pairings, because they've took a risk with them. They've not done what Manchester City have done and bought proven quality in Diaz. They've gone with a young lad from Preston and a guy that probably most of us have never heard of, to be honest with you, from Turkey. So they need to get lucky, and one of them needs to come in, hit the road running, and lift everyone else. The other problem that I believe they have is the front three have been on the road for a long time, and I have said it, that they can't keep pushing the front three as much as what they do. You've got so much out of them. You know? Is
that in terms of the energy, or just in terms of the style of play that they're quite predictable at this stage?
Both are married into each other. You know, the style of play is hugely taxing on the body. You know, the energy levels required to play the way that they play and to keep flogging the same three players every season for the last 3 seasons, and they have been brilliant. They tried to remedy it this year with bringing Jota in. Again, it was a bit of a gamble. It was a bit of a, we hope we get lucky. They didn't go out and spend 50, 60, 70, 80 million on somebody and bought proven quality. But luckily, Jota worked out for them, and he was brilliant. But now he's injured. So those three are back in again. There was a period just before Christmas where Firmino was out of the team and Jota came in and done really, really well in the Champions League and the Premier League. And everyone said, oh, well, that's the end of Firmino. It's not. You know, you've 4 players for 3 positions, and you rotate the 3 of them in and out. Unfortunately, Jota's got injured and been out of the team. So as soon as they get him back fit, in the summer, Liverpool need a little bit of, I'm going to say a rebuild. But
I was going to ask, does it need to be a transformational summer? Because they do have Thiago now, they have Jota to come back, they've bought a couple of centre halves, they've sent Minamino out on loan and to get some game time. When you look at that Liverpool squad, does it need an addition of 3-4 players to get themselves back challenging next season?
It needs some surgery, absolutely, and I think there is some money that will need to be spent. You know, Liverpool have been brilliant in the transfer market and recouping money, and their net spend isn't an amazing amount. I think this summer is the time where the owners really need to put their hands in their pocket, you know, and really say, listen, here's 120 million quid. Go and buy yourself a centre back. Hopefully Virgil van Dijk will come back the same player that he was. Let's go and spend some serious money on a front three. And then maybe help in the full-back area as well, where they're light. You know, the full-backs seem to be on the same trajectory the front three are on. You're flogging them to death every week. The 2 of them have been asked to play, Trent and Robertson. They're up and down every week. It's seriously taxing on the body. It would be nice if they had somebody that could fill in for them.
What about Jurgen Klopp's role in all of this and their decline over the last 3 months? He's won a Premier League title. He's won a Champions League title over the last 2 seasons, but does he deserve any criticism, or should there be any questions asked of him of what's gone wrong for Liverpool over the last 3 months?
The only way you'd criticise Jurgen Klopp from me is if, and you'd have to be privy to the conversation that went on with the director of football and the owners, I'm pretty sure he would have been begging for reinforcements. Everybody could see it that the front three were beginning to lag. You could see at the beginning of the season, form was in and out. Obviously, Salah has contractual issues. So I'm pretty certain that every day he's speaking to the director of football and the owners saying, I need money, I need money, I need money. They haven't backed him because they probably thought that with his genius that he'd figure out a way to get it done. But I think this is proof now that Jurgen Klopp, as great and all as he is, and he is a fantastic manager, you can't make wine out of water, unfortunately. So they need to put their hands in their pockets this summer. I suppose immediately they need to concentrate on getting in the top four. That's probably their biggest one now. I think the Champions League is going to end pretty soon with the form that they're in. I mean, they're going to get ruthlessly exposed, if not by Leipzig, but definitely by the team they meet the next round. That'll probably be the end of it for them. So I suppose the best they can hope for this season is get by Leipzig, maybe get a nice night out or a game against Juventus or one of the giants of Europe, and it'll be a nice night, and then cement top four, but really start looking to next season.
What about Manchester City then?
Yeah.
Without Kevin De Bruyne, without Sergio Aguero, so they have their own injury problems, but the form of Gundogan, of Sterling and of Phil Foden, 14 straight victories in all competitions. When you compare them, and maybe it's unfair to compare them to the City side of 2-3 years ago, are they getting towards that level now?
They're on the way, but I'm pretty sure if you and me sat down and went over the last 14 games and we watched all of them, there'll be periods in the games and probably periods in that time period where Man City weren't great, but they were rock solid at the back. So the games they didn't play well and they nicked 1-0 or they nicked a 2-1, it was built because they're rock solid. Goalkeeper, centre back number 6. So they keeps the momentum going. Unfortunately, Liverpool don't have that, but Manchester City at the minute are on this winning run, not because of all these fantastic players, it's because of the lads at the back. What is it? How many? 7, 8 clean sheets? I think it is. And very, very. How many goals conceded in the 14? It's only 4 or something, is it?
I think that's their 14th goal they've conceded all season.
Yeah, but in that 14 winning games, I think it's only 2 or 3 they've conceded. So that's what it's built on. Because when you can do that, it allows these world class players, Foden, Gundogan, and De Bruyne when he's playing, and Sterling, they'll always get you goals. Man City will always score goals. Liverpool usually always score goals, but unfortunately, at the minute, confidence has been drained out with it in Liverpool, whereas confidence is sky high in Manchester City.
You were a centre half. You're watching Ruben Dias there. Okay, he made one bad mistake today, but probably the first mistake he's made all season. He's only 23. He seems to have the leadership qualities. He seems to have it all.
Yeah.
Talk about him as a centre half and what it is he does.
Everything you'd want from him. And even the mistake he made today, Pep Guardiola won't be worried about that, because he'll know that if you take the kind of, I won't even call them risks, but chances that he takes. I've watched him so much. He does that so often where he sweeps across and doesn't just kick it into touch or doesn't just hook it away for a centre forward. He will try and control the ball and find a pass, and that's what the manager asks of him. But the manager will understand that there will be times he will get it wrong. Usually it won't lead to a goal, but I suppose the mistake he made today was pulling back Salah, because I think John Stones was round on the cover and maybe Salah still would have scored, but John Stones would have had a chance. So his mistake today wasn't the controlling the ball, it was pulling back the shirt. But he's got everything you'd want. Size, stature. We saw him swat Firmino aside in the first half when Firmino was coming square across the pitch and he just pushed him out of the way. He's got everything, and he's helped John Stones as well.
Speaking about players who've got everything, Phil Foden, 20 years of age. The run to capitalise on the mistake from Alisson and to lift the head and to spot the run of Gundogan, and then the finish.
Yeah.
How good is he now, and where is he going over the next 4 or 5 years?
Well, I suppose it was always a running joke that Pep would come up and say he's a world-class talent. They'll never play him for the last number of years, right? And he's obviously grooming him and getting him to a point where he would be not only a world-class footballer, but world-class tactically as well. And if you look at the amount of positions that he plays for Manchester City, left wing, right wing, false 9, as a 10, I mean, that just tells you that the understanding and belief that Pep has in him, and he probably spent those 2 years when he was working with him, instilling that in him, getting that understanding of the game, because he knew he had the talent. Everybody saw him, with the England underage setup, he had that talent. But Pep has obviously seen that he had the mental ability or the mental aptitude to take on board what he's been asked. And you could only imagine what's being asked of him by a manager as meticulous and as fine detail as what Pep is. To be able to play all those positions for Pep Guardiola shows an incredible aptitude for the game.
What is his best position? What's the position in 3-4 years' time, you think? Is he a number 10? Is he a winger? Is he a number 8?
I think his best attribute is the fact that he's as intelligent as what he is, I don't think he'll ever nail down a position. I think Pep will continuously rotate him, and he can fill him in any position. I suppose ultimately the only person that can answer that question would be Phil Foden. Where would you like to play? Where's your favourite position? What would you? And I'd probably guarantee he'd say number 10. He looks like the guy that would want to be central and involved in the game all the time, but he does great on the wings, does great as a false 9 for Pep. So his greatest attribute is his aptitude, his intelligence and his willingness to learn.
England have a lot of good young players at the moment. We saw Raheem Sterling, who's still only in his mid-20s. They have the likes of Jadon Sancho coming through, Marcus Rashford. Foden, in terms of the next 3-4 years, are we looking at someone who can go on to become one of the great world players? Is that the level of talent he has?
Absolutely, because he's working with a world-class manager at a world-class football club. They're going to be competing every year at the latter stage of the Champions League, the Premier Leagues. He's going to be a winner. He could be that world-class player that maybe, every team that's done well in international football has that one world-class kind of player that could turn a game on its head. And he looks like he could be that for England. I mean, England had some great players over the years, but have they ever had that real one world-class player, with the exception of maybe Wayne Rooney? But maybe I think Phil Foden is kind of on a level above that as well, where he could kind of come into pockets and dictate the pace of game and dictate what he wants to do in the game. So he certainly looks like he's that kind of player, and I hope that England find a place for him or find a system for him, and I hope that if England do play him on the right hand side, that Gareth Southgate can find a way to get him in the game, because it would be a shame if he ended up just being a right side midfield player, getting up and down, helping the right back, and became a bog standard player, so I hope Gareth Southgate realises what he has in his hand, and I hope he can find a position for him, maybe in the 10. It
does feel like it's a defining weekend in the title race. Liverpool can't come back from here, but also Manchester United conceding last kick of the game against Everton through Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and those same old problems, Harry Maguire and David De Gea. Do you see any way back for United?
In terms of winning the league? Absolutely not. I know I was never ever concerned that Manchester United win the league. They have a recurring theme, Manchester United, that when push comes to shove and they have to perform, they invariably let you down, and that's a mental issue that they have at the minute. And I don't mean that.
Is that what it is? When you look at Harry Maguire, who, if we're talking about England, will be their starting centre half at the European Championship this summer. When you look at his technical ability, is it a technical thing that he's not leading that defence right, or is it a mental thing?
I think it's just he's not a good enough player to play for Manchester United. That's very unfair of me, or harsh of me to say that. But when I'm comparing him to like a Ruben Diaz or a Rio Ferdinand. So when I say he's not good enough, I don't mean that he's just not a good player. He's a very good football player, definitely. But he's not the Ruben Diaz. He's not Rio Ferdinand. He's not Nemanja Vidic. He's not Jaap Stam, and he will never be that. Unfortunately, he's not Virgil van Dijk. He's not that dominant main man centre back. He just isn't. I think Lindelof's a better player, if I'm being honest with you. I think Lindelof comes in for an awful lot of criticism, but I'd have him. If you ask me to pick between, Lindelof and another, or Maguire and another, I'd take Lindelof and another.
Whenever we do commentary of a game that involves a goalkeeper that you once played with, you're always very harsh on them. You're always bringing up the mistakes they made. Centre-backs are clearly very unforgiving towards their goalkeepers. It sticks with you for a long time. Yeah. Poor old Alex McCarthy, I think, is it, who gets...
he's doing all right.
He's doing all right. Well, aside from the 9 goals he conceded there the other night. When you look at, say, David De Gea and a feeling he should have been braver for Dominic Calvert-Lewin's goal, do you look at that Manchester United team and think there's probably a team that have lost a bit of trust in their goalkeeper?
No, because up until yesterday, he was actually probably in the best period that he was having. He was making some good saves, and the mistakes seemed to have been cut out. I think it was the parry into the path of for the first one, is it, when it went to 2-1. I think that was a mistake where he looked like he was frightened. He thought he was going to get clattered. But lack of concentration from him. Again, he was a world-class goalkeeper. He's dropped off in the last number of years. He's still not at the same level as Alisson and Ederson. So, but all round Manchester United have I think have problems. You know what I mean? They had 3 stabs at getting out of the Champions League, and they crumbled in each and every one of them. All they do is win 1 game from the last 3, and they would have been to knockout rounds of the Champions League. They went to Manchester City in the League Cup semi-final. Again, crumbled. This week, they probably knew was a defining week because they put themselves top of the league. And as soon as you go top of the league, you are now the hunted. You're not the hunter. And as soon as you go top of the league, it brings a different type of pressure, because all of a sudden you've got something to hang on to, and you need to maintain it and extend the gap. But as soon as they were like second, third, they were doing okay, winning games, creeping along, doing really well. But as soon as they went top of the league, they crumbled. And I think every time you look at this Manchester United team over the last number of years, whenever the pressures comes on, when anything's been expected of them, when anything, somebody's like today, Manchester City were probably told, win this game and the league's done, we're going to win the league, you know, and they went out and they won today emphatically, whereas Manchester United, would have slipped up. Going to Arsenal, slipped up. You know, yesterday, 3-2 up in injury time, could have kept up some semblance of pressure on Manchester City, but they gave it up, you know, and I just think that's a mental issue with the team, and that's why I was never in fear, even when they went top of the league. I mean, Joe dragged me into a thing there where I was getting crucified by Manchester United fans, and I was there going, it's only January, and you've just gone top of the league, you know, so...
well, today you're going to be crucified by Liverpool fans and Manchester United
I didn't
fans.
say that bad about Liverpool. I think Liverpool are fantastic, but I think even the most optimistic Liverpool fan will admit that they're not going to win the league this year.
Well, we look forward to covering the race for the top 4, which is going to be thrilling between now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
Great
That's
stuff,
probably
Damien.
it, yeah.
That is it. All right, thanks a lot.